it's referring to some sort of a data set that I can see there. Based on the 2 years of data, which single variable in the data set is the best single predictor of success in the MBA program. So there's almost no way to do that without this data set that we're talking about here. Do you have any idea what they're referring to here?
Yeah, so they want us to go back and look at a data set and
Yeah.
try to find which out of everything that they give us, which would be the best indicator of success.
So there's two variables there. And the thing is, you mentioned to me on the phone, and you said, hey, look, we're not gonna have Excel. So this is the disconnect for me. And this looks exactly like what I worked with that other student. It's like, yeah, I mean, I don't know how to tell you what to do here other than if we had the data set, we would be able to know what proportion, what proportion GMAT greater than 580. So it says, I don't know how many students there were. Let's just say there was 250 students, maybe 135 of them received this score.
Okay.
And and then maybe we would, same thing for the GPA, MBA GPA is greater than or equal to 3.2. Maybe we find that there's 140 out of 250 that have that GPA. Hopefully it's higher, but that's what I'm seeing here. So what we could then do is maybe do like a proportion test, a two sample proportion test to see if there's a difference.
Okay.
Um, what I'm saying though is that without the data set, there's no way to reasonably do this problem here. Like it's heavily reliant on having this data set. So this is the disconnect for me and maybe for you. Your teacher said, hey, review these midterms. These are the ones to look at.
Yeah, so they gave us, so the data set actually is at the end of the packet.
Huh?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Did I not send? I might not have sent the whole thing.
I didn't get the data set. If
Oh, you didn't get the data set?
there's,
Oh, crap.
yeah,
Okay,
that's
so
okay.
there actually is a
Hey,
data set at the very end.
let me
Yeah, there's
check. Let me double
12
check here.
pages long.
Uh, all right. So I only see that I got this file, and you're saying maybe there's a data set here. Oh,
Yeah,
um,
page 6.
there it is. Okay, that's good to have. All right, we do need this. So they're not giving you the. This is good. I'm glad you. It's just like I think you're supposed to do this. All right. So this is for problem one. Let me go grab it here. All right. So lots of stuff here. So we
Mhm.
got MBA GPA. We care about the count. So the count of MBA GPA is 202. That's what I was looking for over here on the right. Like how
Oh,
many actually, it's because it says here, it's a one if the GPA is greater than 3.2 and a zero otherwise.
uh-huh.
And so we have that. And then the other one is the admit, sorry, the count, that's not what I'm looking for. These are the totals, not the counts. I thought they were the counts of this thing. So the sum, all right, output for Northlake case midterm two. All right, so I'm just trying to figure out what they're even going with here.
Yeah.
Confidence. So the count's just the total number. That's not really like what I was looking for. I was looking for something that actually counted how many, exceeded that threshold. Sum, so 72 out of 202, that's looking pretty good to me
Okay.
as being like this count here. Um,
Yeah.
like how many actually got this. So then the GMAT here, we got a sum of that. What are they coming up with that? That's the sum of the GMAT scores, not super useful. Okay, let's go back to the question. Based on two-year data, which single variable in data set is the single best predictor in the success of the Northlake MBA program? Okay. All right. So we're looking at this p-value down here in the last row. Do you remember that from class? I
Yep.
assume this is a p-value. They sure look like it. So we want the smallest p-value basically.
Okay,
And to me, that's the MBA GPA.
okay.
So the MBA GPA is this. Now, what I'm not seeing, so what I gotta be careful of here is like, does this mean it goes for question one, or is this just the first table in the output?
I think it's just the first table in the output
Okay,
is
all right. So I'm
is
again
how
giving
I'm
you bad
interpreting.
information. All right,
I
all
think.
right. So let's just reset. All right. So what's really helpful is if we look at the right table and the um like what I'm looking for is something that like predictor of success. We like did you so the question is do you know what the output variable is? And that's where I'm running so there's two ANOVAs that they give you.
Mhm.
MBA GPA, MBA GPA. Okay. Right. So let me show those here. So table 7 is some
Okay,
sort of regression output.
okay,
So the thing is what I don't know is I don't know what DV stands for. But I believe it's the direct variable MBA GPA. So you're using some software in this class, whatever. And the
okay.
question is like, with what is like the quality of this model? Well, the model is significant here. The because this uh, F is so low, this is the p-value. We
Uh,
we know that the model is significant. And we know that the coefficients that are significant in the model are the GMAT score, the UGPA, and I'm sorry, we're looking at the wrong ones. We're looking at the p-values here. This p-value, this p-value, this p-value. So these first three
mhm.
are all significant because again, the p-value is less than 0.05.
Okay,
You would have maybe seen that in a previous course
right.
um, on this. These other two are not because the p-value is too high. Now the intercept is almost never included. So you
Okay,
never consider the intercept. Okay.
okay,
So what I'm seeing is as the variables that are being significant here are the GMAT and the UGPA.
okay.
Okay. Now what I don't understand, and this is where like maybe is why is there table 8? Because table 8 is yet another regression output and it seems to have the same DV dependent variable, not direct variable, dependent variable. That seems to be the same.
Just
Okay.
slightly
But
different.
the regression's different. It's different data. Um, this one's got more variables in it. So what it could be, here's what it could be. Let me see if I can confirm that. Um, no, I can't. So sometimes they remove variables and then rerun the test, but
Okay,
they would remove like you would remove foreign. Let me make a note here. You remove this one would get removed. This one would get removed, but you can see foreign is in the other one.
uh-huh.
So is there like anything that tells us like what the heck they did for this? Like why they did this? Is there anything
Uh,
that tells us that?
no, there's no like specific. I
Okay.
mean, I just see that they
Yeah.
added the two bottom
There's enough
two and
information in the output. Yes, yeah, love that. Yeah, there's enough information. Yeah, I guess. Um, well, so if I were like, well, I need to answer some questions here. Let's look and see which ones are significant. The
okay,
GMAT is significant because the p-value is less than 0.05. That's the minus 13. That's 0. The UGPA is also significant. Um, the UG major is also significant in this model. So um, those three are significant in this case because again, the p-values are less than 0.05. Now, that's just a standard we go off of, 0.05. They're supposed to tell you what the threshold is.
hmm,
So I'm making a little bit of an assumption there for that. And wait, there's another one. There's yet another. So there's 9, 10, 11. So this is where I would probably go back to my teacher and ask, although I
okay,
guess you've got the solutions here. Um, and see, this is where I'm coming at this so blind. They actually use the correlation table. I'll put 2. of all things. Why would they use that? I don't know. So let's go look at that.
Okay, number two.
Yeah, so if I'm confused, I can guarantee as a student, you guys are probably unclear about this.
Okay,
So the they're they're looking the way this reads is it says the highest single predictor is the highest simple correlation. So you're looking for the biggest R value here. That is not one. Okay. So
okay.
this one right here is there. Now that to me that's consistent with what we found actually MBA, GPA, and GMAT. We
Yeah,
actually found that in this here. Although this, I don't know what this is. So we'll have to see. But they're saying, yeah, that's the biggest number, but so is the admit and GMAT.
okay,
So they're saying the ones that have the highest R values in this table end up being the ones that you would go with.
so how would you pick just one?
Oh no, you can pick more than one.
Oh, okay, okay,
You can pick more than one. It's GMAT because you're trying to predict. Well, sorry, I apologize. You're trying to predict MBA GPA. We go back to the question.
okay,
MBA, you're trying to predict this, so you only look at this column. But like,
okay.
let's say you were trying to predict GMAT score, you would only look at this column.
Oh, okay, I get you. Okay,
Okay, and so on. All right, so I'm
yeah,
going to do better here, and I'm going to look at the solutions too to help because
yeah.
I apologize for kind of
No,
not knowing where to go.
I'm
It's
glad that
somewhat
you're just as
unclear.
confused as I am because this
Yeah.
is
Uh, I didn't realize that so if this were me as a student and I got this test, I would look at all of the outputs. Like I would sort of scan through them and make sure I knew what each of them were
okay,
because I made the mistake of thinking, oh, maybe it goes with number one, but it doesn't. Um,
okay,
so now let's go to part B. All right.
okay,
And so now I get it. You definitely do not need Excel. You don't need a data set. You just need to use the tables. Is this variable a significant predictor of first year MBA GPA? How do you know? All right. So you're looking for uh, an output here. Okay. Now,
okay,
this is based on knowing that GMAT is a predictor variable. And that's again why you have to go to all the tables because table 11, and I have the advantage of like looking at the solution to know, table 11 is a regression analysis just with GMAT, which was the part A answer.
okay,
Part A answer is the GMAT score. And so we go over and look at it, and the model is significant. That means that this one is also significant. So the answer is yes. Again, it's because the p-value is less than 0.05.
okay.
All right, so the answer it gives a little bit more, I don't know, it's a little bit more wordy, but the simple nature of like to determine whether a variable is significant in a regression model is you look at the p-value. If the p-value is less than 0.05, it is significant. Is
Okay.
that okay?
Yes. Yeah.
But there are like, let me count. There are there's five regression outputs. Like, how do you know to go to this one? That's a tough question to answer. You somehow need to know to go here. That's why scanning them all would be very, very helpful. Um, okay.
If you so if you had scanned the wrong one, would you still come out with that same answer?
No, you would not have potentially. Like
Oh, perfect.
if we look at table nine doesn't have it in there. Table
Okay.
10 doesn't have it in there. Uh, seven does. So you might, or sorry, seven and eight do, but and that's where I initially went and looked, but they're multiple regressions, which is not really what we're asking here. So,
Okay.
truthfully, like me looking at more of this material will help you more because I'll be able to better like tell you, okay, this is the game that they're playing. This is what they're trying to get
Yeah.
you to see.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
So 2A, go ahead.
Okay.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. I was just like, I gave it to you, just not in the hopes that like, need to go too deep, but kind of what I'm working with here. And you can see the frustration just because
It's-
like it's all over the place. I feel like,
my role here is to help you pass this class, whatever
yeah,
that means. And I understand how frustrating it is. I mean, I went through college. I understand it's a game. You play the game, you get the degree. And
exactly.
and it's I understand it's hard. So this though is more doable than I originally thought. So I actually have to now send an email and call the other student, tell them, hey, like I think I've figured this out. So is there evidence of multicollinearity? This only applies to multiple linear regression.
Okay.
So it's a garbage question because you didn't do multiple linear regression. It's a single regression. This does not apply. So basically the answer is no, it's not. It's not. There is no evidence, but it's really because of what I just said. It only applies to multiple linear regression when there's more than one variable.
Okay. Gotcha.
Thoughts on that? Questions?
Yeah. So what is that? What's the multi
Yeah. Let me grab a picture here off the internet. The internet's always amazing to find stuff. Um, let me see if I can find a good picture. This is not helpful. So here's how I would like to show it, although this is not the most technical answer. Let's
Okay.
say I give you this data set and
Okay.
this data set. So there's these points right here. Right, there's these points. Which of the following is the regression line? The answer is all of them.
Okay. All of them. Okay.
Yeah, like the problem is that you don't know which one is the right one because the model is it doesn't have a trend. And so in it, what does it look like in real life? I'll Here's one from the internet. Um, you might sit there and think that, oh, it's going up this way.
Yeah.
I don't know that I agree. I mean, probably, but you could also draw a line like that kind of work. Um, so think of it as like there's discrepancy about what the actual pattern really is.
Gotcha. Okay.
But here's what I'm seeing with that type of question. And so far is the instructors, even though we might have started out by thinking, oh my gosh, this is really difficult. The instructor's actually not trying to make this difficult. They're trying to give you questions that you can quickly answer. And that's confirmed by 2B. Okay.
Okay.
Um, like this is the most like if there was like one thing teachers, professors want students to take out of probability and statistics is that if the p-value is less than the critical
Right.
level or the alpha, you reject the null hypothesis.
Okay.
So what does it mean? It means that this variable is significant. It means that this variable is significant, which means it should be included in the model. And this has nothing to do with the table, nothing to do with like your opinion, my opinion
Yeah.
about the validity of this. It's just that's what it is.
Okay.
Um, and that's what they're trying to um, so the teacher gives a slightly different take on this, which is why you got to look at their answers as well. So they're referring back to this regression model. Okay.
Okay.
And so you need to know a little bit more about like, well, what is the null hypothesis? It's that beta 1 equals 0. H1 is that beta 1 does not equal 0. This is beta 1 is the slope. Okay. So if you reject H0,
Uh,
you're saying that there is a slope. The model as a slope. We don't
okay.
know whether it's up or down. We can get that, but that's the interpretation that they give, which is not, it's not that mine is different or wrong or anything like that. I said everything is significant, but they're looking for you to go a bit further, kind of go in context, which is like,
Yeah.
since the p-value is 0, the slope of the regression line is different than 0. It's not 0. It's not 0. If the p-value is like 0.5, which is bigger than the critical level or alpha, we would say, no, 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 the slope is 0. And that's what they're kind
Okay.
of looking for here.
Okay.
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 Let's look at 3 next. Now, is this a case study that you guys are going to look at in the course, do you think?
So I'm not entirely sure. She just said like we haven't gone over this North Lake in class. She just said these are old ones that I'm giving you just to, I guess just to get our minds, and this is how the setup is gonna be.
Okay, but are you guys doing other case studies in the class?
Yeah, we are, but
Okay.
not this North Lake one, no.
Okay, so here's what that tells me. It tells me you're probably going to get a test, or on your test is going to be one of your studies with just these types of questions, or maybe different questions of what you're seeing now. So the
Oh,
so
that makes
so like what
sense.
we're doing is good, but you probably also want to maybe have us look at some of those. Um, all right.
Uh, that makes
So
sense.
because like this is really like, is there evidence that grades at Northlake are significantly inflated compared to undergraduate grades?
Uh-huh.
Like like this is so out of scope for me. I'm like, I don't know because I don't know anything about this. Now, if I look at the solution, it's clear that what we're doing is we're comparing two groups, group 1 and group 2, which is
Okay.
Northlake and undergrads. And so that's some sort of a t-test
Okay.
when you compare two groups.
Yep.
But I'm pretty sure if you guys were covering this in class, you probably would have done that. Now, you would also need to know that UGPA is the undergraduate grades. And then, well, or MBA GPA. So somewhere there's a coding for this of the variables.
Okay.
Did you get that?
Yeah.
Because that's definitely not in here, but that's important to know too. Like you'd expect to have some familiarity with the variables that we're talking about.
Okay. Is
So here
it?
we go. Here's the output.
Yeah.
Like
Number three.
what does UGPA stand for is what I'm saying. I mean, it's probably undergraduate or undergraduate GPA, I guess, MBA
Yeah.
GPA. Okay, like I can infer that by knowing now, but I mean, coming at it blind is pretty tough.
Sure.
So this is the output. The p-value again, like it doesn't matter whether it's one tail or two tail. If you didn't know, they're both less than 0.05. So you would
Okay.
again reject H0, and the H0 in this case is that the means are the same. The means that they're the same.
Okay.
They're the same. There it is. Okay. And then that they're different. Now, what we don't know is whether you're comparing one group, whether you know which way you're going, but you can infer that from the mean. So you would assume that the GPA, one that is higher here, means that they probably did a one-tailed test.
Okay.
I'm not sure. But the answer here is that yes, yes, there is evidence because the p-value is less than 0.05. You reject H0 that the um, mean GPAs are the same, and you support the claim that they're different, or you support the claim, not the complaint, the claim that one is bigger than another.
Okay.
And again, this has nothing to do with like, there's no calculations here. This is just straight, can you interpret these outputs?
Yeah.
Are
See,
you
like this is where I'm getting tied up on. It's figuring this out.
Okay, now are you guys given outputs for like your current data sets, case studies?
Yeah, we're having to do it. So we're having to
Okay,
run the test and do all that through Excel.
okay. So my guess is the questions will come from that, and then you will have to kind of answer these types of questions we've been doing today with
Okay.
this. I'd guess. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and stop there.